Question is, who on Dig will step up to really kind of make action happen, and who will be, that true carry in the late game? Because if you do want to have a farming scaling jungler, that's fine. But generally, they are there, more to enable your mid laner or your marksman to really kind of get you across that finish line. And if he's not putting them in that winning position, through early action, then Blue or Neo have got to be able to kind of step up and create those leads and create those advantages for themselves. Ezreal, early pick here. Yeah. Was 4 marksman ban again. Surprise, surprise. So those 4 that I did mention, all taken off the table. Karma is, of course, up. So you're not expecting Dig to take it away because...
Karma's Seraphine.
Yeah, I mean, you can go for it. There are some other Karma pairings that people do like, but my expectation is that they're just going to give that over. Ezreal Karma is by far the most common pairing for both those 2 champions. And then we'll have to see, what the response wants to be. Do they even draft a bot laner here or a support? Or is it going to be kind of, breaking that trend?
Yeah, Viego is the most picked champion across pro play in this split. That is, of course, a biased stat because he's never banned. No one's really banning jungles ahead of, I think, mostly Wukong right now, maybe some Lily and whatnot, so he's just always there, and one of the 2 teams tends to want him. Ezreal, of course, with Karma can be quite the bully, but going for Kaisa as a relatively scaling option. She's not actually the turbo late game champion, but like a little bit weak early lane, and then like really solid throughout mid game onwards.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a shame that we see a lot of these days either, right? Which as soon as I see Kaisa, I think you're drafting for dive. And if you're not drafting for dive, I'm like, why are you picking Kaisa? Because Kaisa is not the best as far as front to back. It's much more, I believe, of the follow-up, kind of assassinating backline. Otherwise, you could just go for like a Jinx or a Felios or whatever.
Yeah, there are better Kraken Slayer, Phantom Dancer champions than Kaisa.
Exactly. So will be really, really interesting. The early Trundle here, can kind of just try to neutralize. I do think it's a great Santorin champion. I also think if you're expecting Gamsu is Mr. Weak Side, he's going to play a tank, he's going to play that style of champion, you're kind of like pre-answering that. And Santorin has historically just been so good on Trundle, able to find creative gank paths, able to really be strong in the team fights. Also sets up very well for Ezreal. The pillar into poke, I always think is a great combo.
Yeah.
Azir going to give them, answers as far as the team fighting, as far as, that kind of high amount of DPS. But Dig definitely going for what seems to be a lot more aggressive. And Ahri does fit more with that theme, of dive.
Yeah.
And as soon as you see Kaisa, you're expecting, at least I'm expecting, an engaged support. Nautilus was always, the super common pairing that we saw for many years. But I do think you can go with Alistar, you can go with Leona. TL may want to try to limit some of those options. There's also something like, banning out an Ornn, perhaps, if they're concerned about that from Dig, from Gamsu, because I do think that's a great weak side champ, and I do think that could be the answer. But, I mean, they could also just, 5th pick their top laner for Gamsu and try to get a more aggressive option. It's also worth noting that we didn't see TL grab the Karma, which was a little bit of a surprise. That they went for the Azir that early on. I guess concerned it was going to get banned out. So Karma will fall through, and of course is going to get banned as a result.
Yeah, of course. Going to be looking up global champion data in a second. But one thing I noticed, because I saw a lot of talk from Evil Geniuses in interviews and a lot of their staff on Twitter saying, wow, we're in a really, really slow, really scaling meta, no action. Yeah. And I'll once again quote Broken Blade from the post-game lobby of LEC, where he's like, no, we're not in a really slow meta. Just its team's kind of warming up and getting kind of acclimated on stage. No, that's not the right play style. And he played Yone, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's scaling pick, but still an aggressive pick. LCS is most of the Corki Azir Victor picks, globally. And I'll get the stat in a second when I can look it all up. But more than half of the victors were just in the LCS, and that was in one day.
And to be fair, though, LCK is also playing, very slow style. LEC overall is playing a very slow style. So it will be interesting to see this develop. I mean, Liquid played an extremely dominant game that was a pretty fast game yesterday. So we'll see if they want to go, for more of that kind of aggressive style in their final couple picks. Yep. Mix something in that could make some splash happen on the top side. Was a lot of support bans here. So triple support ban. Overall, they are going towards that Leona, so it wasn't going to be the Nautilus as I kind of looked as the primary option, but going to be that more secondary option, say 5th pick here for Gamsu. So it will be Bwipo blinding his top pick.
Yeah. Updating the stats now that I've looked it up. So this is only top 4 leagues, LCS, LEC, LCK, LPL. Azir is the 2nd most picked mid lane champion. That said, very few bans actually sub 50% presence. Champions like Talia are way more sought after globally. She's banned a ton and is, I would say, a more aggressive, more game focused option. But you have champions like Victor who are down there at 10 picks, really low presence, 17%. So, they are often up, and TL clearly likes their scaling. MOrdekaiser, I think, a great anti-tank option.
Yeah.
And he's a fun champ. Let's see it.
Mord is actually really good. This is another one of those champions that I do think kind of rose to prominence with the durability buff. we were seeing a lot more of Mord, high amount of sustain, a high amount of percentage HP damage, really able to kind of do well in these long extended fights. I also think it can be a really strong answer to dive. Because if you actually dive backline as the Kaisa and you just get Mord ulted, it is very dangerous. You're going to have to itemize into a QSS potentially very early. Even if you just take him out of the fight, like that is the primary damage. Be interesting to see where Gamsu does want to take us. Hovering the Jace, they are, I mean, they're fine to go physical. They could fine to go AP here as well because they do have physical damage jungler. GP feels more his style, and I actually like that as an answer because you can orange out of the ultimate. So that's always a really nice interaction. You still can kind of push in here and sometimes bully out. If you get ahead, you can really start to shrug off a lot of the damage that GP is doing. But GP, great weak side champion. It's kind of one of the classics, and I think that fits the style of what Dignitas want to do. You have the GP ulted. You drop that on the head of some of these carries, like the Azir. Leona flies in, Ahri flies in, Kaisa there to follow up, and you're trying to enable that dive while just kind of holding and neutralizing Bwipo on that top side. Bwipo notably is, at least for now, hovering that he's going to be starting Ghost, which is really good in the long lanes, especially allowing you to help to kind of chase down that GP if he does push off that tower.
No, Ghost is really good. I mean, flashing once in a while is certainly nice so you can get in range, but just being on the opponent, really big deal.
Their team building is excellent, right? Because when you're thinking about these players, that they pick up, Dignitas is consistently able to build strong rosters that are competitive without anywhere close to the investment of a team like TL and some of these other big dogs that they are scrapping with. So, you do have to look and see like what are the kind of consistent things there, and a lot of that is about the coaching staff. A lot of that is about the GMs and everyone in that org that is really bringing these rosters together that often are better than what you would think, are often better than the kind of sum of their parts.
And it's a mix of good scouting. It's a mix of understanding what players are going to work well together. Because that synergy always matters. So we do have Tigris ready to go with Team Liquid's head coach Kyoto.
Thank you, Phreak. Gilhoto, you're coming off of a perfect game yesterday against your old team in Immortals. How is that going to compare to the results today against Dignitas?
It's a different team, and that's also how we want to take every game. We are not going to let the results of yesterday affect us in either any way that can make us underestimate Dignitas. They didn't have a good game yesterday, but it's the start of a split. Everything can happen, so we are just really focused on how we can perform as a team.
New team, new player in the top lane for Dignitas as well. Tell me about that matchup in the top lane, bringing the MOrdekaiser out. We've seen from solo queue from Bwipo into the Gangplank.
I think Bwipo obviously has a lead compared to Gamsu. I don't think he was even one of the better top laners in Academy. So I'm expecting Bwipo to take over the matchup, and I think that this match is going to be much more related to how both bot lanes will do.
All right, thanks for the insight. Back to the game.
Alrighty, the prediction is Bwipo claps top lane, but bot lane's going to be what's important here and the more important part of this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I always really like to hear from Gilhoto because he's very honest, right? He's one of the guys that'll give you his straight up opinion. I always respect that. Some people are pretty hesitant to because they don't want to give anything away or they're worried about backlash. But he's a pretty straight shooter, so always a great interview. And it will be interesting to track then that bot lane and see how that does go, because if he thinks that's really going to be the pivotal part of the map, the pivotal matchup there, will Hans and CoreJJ be able to create those types of advantages that they did yesterday in conjunction with Santorin? Had that really strong early gank. And they worked really well kind of as that three-man squad to really put themselves ahead.
Minions go down to the mid lane, trading back and forth. Nice pullback. Will not put him in a turret aggro, but gets the passive to knock down a minion as Gamsu keeps trying to spam with Corrupting Potion and Biscuits. Obviously has plenty of mana. The big thing about Gangplank lanes is his mana versus your health bar. That's why Thorn Shield is like such a big deal, because he will get to Q with Grasp. Like, you can't really dodge that. It is going to happen. Getting the barrels, though, is a big thing, because barrels don't cost mana. Barrel auto is here's 200 damage and didn't cost me mana, so you're running out faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it resets your passive, which is always such a big deal. In this case, he's not in range to actually get those passive autos, but I agree. Getting tagged by those barrels is really punishing, because that can push it over the edge to being, okay, like, I'm actually going to run out of health before he runs out of mana. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Gamsu has used all 3 of his Corrupting Potion charges. Does have to respect the fact that there could be, a gank coming up here, and Santorin is going to be spotted, skipping the blue buff, but was doing, much more of a kind of full clear style. But with that cleared out, you could expect that he'd go back to his blue, but now he has no vision and his Trinket Ward's on cooldown, so you have to play much more respectful. And you can see him on the map. He's backing off, standing in the side brush there, and is going to have to play it much more safe, so can't really punish Bwipo, who is really low on health. And Santorin could even just go top and help him to reset the wave at this point, or if Gamsu's too far up, you could get a kill.
Okay, Gamsu just burns his passes. The move speed's not going to be there, and yeah, just thinks, okay, he's always got a barrel. If I walk up, he barrel autos, gets the passive move speed, gets it refreshed from the barrel as well, and it's like, okay, not really a play available, so good to always keep the barrel up, always has the option. Looks like he's kind of covered all his bases there. Yeah, Bwipo trying to like ghost E is pretty flashable.
Yep, absolutely. So Gamsu playing it respectful, playing it smart. And you'll notice he basically wasn't trading at all until his trinket ward came up, and then he drops the trinket ward in the river, and he goes back to queuing him on cooldown, right? You know, so I think this is smart, and this is something that Dignitas really was looking for when they picked up Gamsu, because a lot of the criticisms around Fake God were that he had, avoidable deaths, avoidable kind of mistakes, sometimes playing a little bit too aggressive, getting punished for it. For Gamsu, they're not necessarily looking for the 1v9 carry guy. They're looking for the guy to be able to stabilize these matchups against some of the better top laners, not necessarily dominate, but as long as he's chilling up there, they believe in their talent on the other side of the map. They believe that Neo and Blue and River can really kind of get them across that finish line.
Yeah, and to be pretty harsh towards Fake God, like this is a team that made playoffs and was pretty solid with a black hole up there. So you get, just like a nice neutron star or something, and this team is sailing, So the rest of the team clearly is very good. Unfortunately, Fake God had a bad split, right? Yeah. Arguably the worst performing top laner by far in spring, and it's like if Gamsu is chilling in 7th in that metric, like this team is going 9-9 or better, and has a good shot at making some moves. So, that is the goal, right? Just like gracefully lose or gracefully go equal, and then like go ult bot lane. It's like cool, like that's great.
Yeah, and I mean that's exactly what you want from GP, and I think this early game, not that it was that crazy anything happening up on the top side, but I do think it kind of exemplified it. He played respectfully, when the jungler could be in the area. Nice little engage on bot side. CoreJJ just going to punt Biofrost away. He is of course playing phase rush. The slow resistance is going to help against the Glacial Augment somewhat. Going to be allowing him to go in and out. But of course, in a full kind of 100-0 all-in, you are a lot squishier than when you're playing with the Aftershock.
Yeah, it's basically not a keystone until you're playing team fights where the goal is like, yeah, I can WQ or like whatever. I can get it, and then
get out,
I'm running in and I can headbutt you backwards or whatever, right? Flash QE auto puts on phase rush. I can get behind you, I can headbutt you. Like that's the kind of stuff you're looking at in a lot of these cases. Ulti traded now, or just thrown down in the top side as he knocks down part of the wave and wants to take his recall. We'll see if he TPs or walks, but regardless, does want to shop here. Easily has a Sheen. Engage at the bottom side looks pretty decent, but won't get that much done.
Yeah, and I think he had a good read because Santorin was recalling the river beside him again, right? So Bwipo will have the ability to freeze, but his jungler's bot side. Santorin has gone up there twice already, and he's doing fine, right? So he just uses the ulti to reset the wave. He will TP back because Bwipo did hold that wave. If we can get eyes on it, we can see if it's actually a full freeze, and it is. So Bwipo just held enough of the wave, but he TPs back. He gets the Sheen as well as the call here, and he's just going to look to fully push this in. Will reset it. Yes, he'll fall down a little bit in the farm because he based off of that, and he does have to be careful because he has no ulti now. Bwipo is going to continue to try to threaten holding this, but that wave will eventually bounce. He doesn't have that many minions there, so doesn't have to worry too much. And we can see CoreJJ is actually heading up here.
Ghost, he wants to fight. Oh, wow, gets the barrel as well. It's going to look good. His pass is on, so the move speed is easily there. Gamsu has CoreJJ coming. Can hat. Oh, what a flash! Really good by CoreJJ. Rewards arrive, though. Is it going to be enough? First blood comes to MOrdekaiser, and River does not have the damage. Level 6, can he find the kill? Wants to right back on a Bwipo. Health bar getting low-ish. Ulti from the Mord. Stun Q. Flashes away the pullback. At what point do they find this kill, though? River just finally gets the passive down, takes him over as the rest of the reinforcements come alive, and Dignitas trade one back.
Yeah, gonna be able to trade one back. Not too bad, but now pressure on this bot side. Neo gonna be zoned off here by Santorin, who's passing the opposite side of the map. They are gonna be losing place. He will likely try to move back up at some point, but he's down a level and is bleeding farm, plus at least one plate there already. 22 and 10 now for Trundle on Santorin there. Really, really impressive career stats. Has been one of his best champions for a really long time.
Yeah, looked really good for him. Great as an enabler. Anytime where he's allowed, just kind of, all right, I'm going to be efficient. I'll make sure your lane's looking good. Frequently stacked with incredibly strong teammates, pretty long laners, who just need that little bit to make sure that it's 100-0. And nice try by Bjergsen. Yeah, doesn't want to take 2 turret shots for it, so that could have been a dangerous, like, charm flash, and you die for stopping a recall. So,
does he have a read that he's in there?
Not going to matter. Nice try, yeah. 3 seconds away from that actually being a flash.
Yeah, pretty close on the timing. They're going to start Herald up on top side. We can watch this one more time. The Ghost popped here early. Flash was down there for Gamsu, and then it just flashed in from CoreJJ, lands the combo. Gamsu waiting on that W as long as possible, trying to get the maximum out of it. River just waiting out the exhaust. Bwipo, popping the ulti. And River was so patient with his own ultimate. I thought he was going to use the ultimate way earlier.
I'm surprised he flashed.
Yeah, me too. I thought he was just going to save the ulti and then use it on the E or something like that.
Yeah.
But maybe he was worried that the W cooldown was up from Bwipo and he would actually get W as he popped in the air. I'm not sure if that cooldown was available, but Santorin again towards topside. TL are spending so much time up here. Good defensive ulti will clear this up, but
killer pullback, that is a lot of damage, and they have enough as Bwipo takes the tower. Yeah, those dives are possible. Team Liquid are swimming in gold.
just no one's really helping Gamsu whatsoever. This is what, the 4th time now? Santorin's been topside. We saw, the CoreJJ roam up towards top as well. And Dig have not been really helping him out. Gamsu under his tower did ult defensively, very respectable as far as the play there, but tanky enough to just be able to pull off the dive. Anyway, well done by TL.
Yep. And as CoreJJ goes over there, as Santorin goes over there, what do the other lanes look like? Well, Bjergsen's up in CS on Azir. That looks good. Bot lane, 9 CS lead and probably a turret plate. That looks pretty good. So, yeah, TL looking pretty nice over there. That is, I believe, a 5 down to the bottom of the minimaps, or it's a 3. Okay, so 2 plates have been farmed by Neo, so that is, I think, probably the tax they took as CoreJJ went topside. So that is something, but it is an 800 gold lead to Team Liquid.
And Santorin did a good job, kind of evening out the bot lane farm, with zoning off Neo, and that got the plate for Hans. That got a little bit of a CS advantage there. Bwipo very likely has his Mythic combined at this point. We'll see if he actually does. I think they got some plates. They did get the kill, so he does have the Mythic combined, and that is going to make him pretty much impossible to fight for Gamsu. So Gamsu, if he wasn't already playing super defensive, he's going to have to be just trying not to interact really with Bwipo whatsoever. You're fighting minions. You're not trying to fight MOrdekaiser at this point. Dignitas did get a relatively early first dragon, and it's going to be starting that second one on spawn here for River. You can see Santorin heading down towards that bottom side of the map, but I do think he's going to be able to grab this one for free.
Bot lane close enough to parity. Yes, we're getting some poke from Hansam, but they're not about to die. And because there's mid lane pressure, right, Bjergsen recalled to get his next bit of purchases. Good arcane shift by Hansama. It means that there's enough bot lane pressure that indeed River gets the second one. So on pace, if Dignitas somehow can have pressure on the bottom side for a 22-minute Hextech Soul, a Flash Force as Hansama, had burned arcane shift. I'm surprised he even flashed because you can cleanse that stun. It's a shorter cooldown.
Yeah.
Chooses the flash all the same.
Maybe just worried though if he goes for the cleanse that the E is going to connect to and kind of follow him after, and then he wouldn't have the ability to actually deal with that. Either way, drops the flash there early on. Both supports kind of seeing each other with that sweeper. Santorin again hovering down here on this bottom side. And it seems like now that Bwipo has his Mythic, he feels like he's kind of gotten him through the more difficult part of the game. And I think they're looking like they just want to kind of leave Bwipo now that they've got him ahead in this 1v1 on that island. And Bwipo utilizing the W, tanking up a lot of that damage, getting a good trade there. Sweet spot on that Q.
Yeah. That Trinket Ward in the brush, we'll see Krugs as it spawns. We'll see the enemy jungler as it goes down as well. Very good spot, by the way, to put it in the bottom right corner. Trinket Wards have pretty low vision. And if you want to see the whole camp and make sure you know everything's going on, that's actually kind of the spot to put it in. You get a lot of vision down there. So even the individual micro choice is actually pretty solid. You can see, yep, even the small Krugs are spotted. Sometimes useful, sometimes you just need to know that they're in that bottom corner. Once in a while, it's actually relevant. So just, a very minor optimization, but a nice one to see. Because come through in the bottom lane, 1,000 gold lead remains for Team Liquid. Is it going to be enough? Likely, I think they are feeling very comfortable. Just the fact that, dragon stacking has like for Dignitas. If you get lucky in 4 minutes time, oops, there's third dragon. Wow, that's a really, really, tight game to play around.
So it isn't back going to be cracking here for Neo. Not going Gale Force, not going more for that kind of execution style, diving in the back line. But I just still think that's kind of the way they're going to have to play the game. Is Bio looking for the engage.
Find the engage, flashes down. There we go. Out for Bjergsen, stays alive for now. Have it back on a Biofrost. Stopwatch stays alive. Still free farm for the Kaisa, misses the W, though as CoreJJ wants back in. Kansama gonna find the kill to Biofrost. River still fighting, but he is low on health, and now that's 0. A kill on the board for Bjergsen. A flash re-engage. CoreJJ sets it up, and Hansama knocks it down. Neo dodges. No bullets in that fight.
The TL taking a huge fight on that bottom side. Not Dragon even there, but both teams just fully down to scrap. They were dropping the Herald, meanwhile, on that bottom lane tower, so knocking that down incredibly low. Han's likely going to be able to finish this one off now. And just like that, TL taking a massive lead in this one. Biofrost had a strong initial engage, and now he's roaming out towards this top side, but Bwipo has the ulti, so there's not really anything you can do here. If you engage as Biofrost, he's just going to ult Leona and kill you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe pull him towards the tower. I mean, the nice thing about her W is that it does block damage per tick, so it'll look pretty good against Mord passive. And if you're close enough to the tower, maybe he's in range and can't go for it. But yeah, no gank down there. Watch this fight. I think they had GP ult for it, which is why they went for it.
Yeah, I mean, they have the GP ulti. The initial engage is great, and I actually really like the placement of the GP ulti kind of behind where you're going to go. I'm surprised that Neo didn't ult in, right? Like, he had his ulti up that whole time. I think if you're going to hard commit to Bjergsen, you've got to get in that backline and execute him, or the fight's really not going to work out. Because when you're hard committing that much, you're sending in the Viego, you're sending the GP ulti, you're flashing in, using all cooldowns there on the Leona. If Bjergsen doesn't die, he flashes out, trades just his flash for that, he's going to return a lot of damage. Hansam is untouched, so the carries really kind of reigning supreme in that one. Yep. Got to be great on that initial engage as Gamsu just barely able to finish the recall, but TL going to keep rolling here, pushing on this top side. No one up there to help defend. So it will be the top lane tower going for TL, and we have to look, can Dig really trade back on this bottom side? Bwipo is just going to be in a much better spot to defend. You can't dive this guy when he's that far ahead.
You see all 4 farmers of Team Liquid ahead of all 4 farmers on Dignitas. FTX total gold looking pretty good on the TL side. I mean, this was close. This was 1,000 gold. It's 4x that now.
TL crushing.
Yeah, they are smashing it again. Obviously, no thing like a perfect game. There's only a kill, already 2 dragons, but they have picked up where they left off, which is they are just slapping teams below them in the standings.
Yeah, I mean, and they're showing that, hey, you can actually, accelerate the pace of the game. They're moving around the map very effectively. They are looking for some of these aggressive plays. Really, Santorin's playing Trundle. It's not like some early game beast jungler, but he was just constantly up towards topside. Gamsu was doing okay in the 1v1, but TL just kept sending resources up there, got Bwipo ahead. Once Bwipo had the mythic completed, they're like, all right, Bwipo, you're on your own. You have this winning matchup now. And Bwipo has been very effective from there.
Wow, River just ulted away.
Yeah, I don't think he knew where core was and stuff. He was kind of nervous, I think, that the follow-up was going to be coming through. So, very defensive ult. Dig, I think, wants to continue to play for dragon stacking, but I'm going to be honest. I think if they try to fight this, they're just going to lose. Like, it seems like a almost unwinnable fight from the game state.
Yeah.
They are very far behind. I mean, Ezreal's already on 2 items.
I will say at least it's not Muramana exactly right now, and everyone at least has Mythic. So, as, like, yes, it's a 5k gold lead, and yes, it's really TL favored. Does it get better with Azir scaling? Maybe not, and at least you're all on a Mythic here, so you try. But obviously TL, not willing to fight for the dragon just yet. They're going to take down mid with the Herald. Tier 2 quite low as well. Pullback only going to find some minions here, but this gives now the map pressure for TL to easily look at the dragon, and now Dignitas are nowhere nearby, so I actually really like the choice made right now by TL. This guarantees it. Yes, Dignitas wanted to try, but it's not going to be anything.
Yep, well played. Neo going to be basing that on the bot side. Does get to push out the wave, so they deny a little bit of gold and experience there, but TL just continue to push out this tier 2, feeling very confident even while they have Azir showing bot, while Santorin, walk past that ward, he's doing dragon. They're just not really concerned about the potential of Dignitas to engage. They have this Azir tower to try to keep them safe, and Hans is just keeping this shoved in. The Muramana now fully stacked up there, and going to be looking really, really good into this part of the game. Neo very far behind at this point, and you can see TL just kind of cruising. X-Flash to threaten there the dive on a Neo, and he's going to have to back up and give up that tier 2 mid, which is just a pretty brutal spot for Dig to be in.
And then an Azir turret is the only thing that has fallen for Team Liquid so far in the last 10 minutes. And those die on their own. You don't really have much of a choice with that one. So looking very, very good for the regular season winners of spring. Hoping to make it the same now in summer. But a better track record in the playoffs, they will hope. And what's next for them, though? Bwipo still farming up a storm, feeling pretty good. A lot of ways that Ruby Crystal and Blast could turn into. I'm partial to Ryle's. I actually think the slow is more important than the demonic burn.
Me too.
Just locking them in place is so valuable.
Especially with Ghost, I always just feel like the move speed differential then becomes just like you're just unkiteable, right? Yep. And I kind of feel similarly with Swain a lot of the time, is that, if you are going to be playing these champions that really need to stick on top, Ryle is just so valuable there. So would like to see that as the option. We'll see if he wants to go that direction. I'm expecting it. I do think Bwipo, is going to really place a high value on that move speed, especially since he went Ghost.
Well, you're going to try the attempt now. Good flash by Gamsu. Actually, Bjergsen held it for a second and actually gave him the room to press the button. I don't know if he's trying to say, okay, he's not hitting it yet. All right, I get a chance. Timing is the way it is. Gamsu gets out, but still a much longer cooldown loss for the Dignitas top laner than the TL mid. So feeling good.
Yeah, it might have just been one of those situations where he's trying to E in and say, I'm going to ult you, better flash, and see if he can get it with for nothing. You know, kind of almost like Gragas, he can go for the plays where you just body slam forward from out of range and be like, well, if he flashes, I can't react, so I'm just going to flash now.
Yeah.
Either way, it's still a good trade. As you said, does commit the ulti, but really, TL not being pressured whatsoever. There was that one scrap on that bottom side around the dragon that, you know, Biofrost went for the engage. They didn't really get anything from it. And now Dig is just kind of getting bled out of this game. You know, they're being pushed in. They're losing their jungle and now going to look for the fight.
Pretty good ult from Hansama as well. Jumps in and Biofrost goes down. W on cooldown. He walked over with it on. CoreJJ, whatever's going to withstand that damage. Really nice setup. The TL duo lane kills enemy support. This is going to be a lot of damage, though. He's ultiless. That's ultable. Right? Like, did he not have stacks? Did he actually, was that only Q, no auto?
Stacks. I think he's just scared to go in, right? And to be fair, if he goes in there, Bjergsen's standing beside him and Santorin, so you're gonna die.
Yeah,
Is it really worth going in, you know, to kill off the support? It is a couple hundred gold, but I think at that point, you know, it's probably not the one to go for. I think if it's like Bjergsen or it's Hansama and it's a committed fight, it's maybe worth just kind of risking it because you're so far down, right? You're gonna have to take what is a risky fight. Like, there's no more 100% plays for Dignitas or anything close to it. But I think maybe that wasn't the moment. You know, if there's anything this game for Neo, I would be looking back to that previous fight where they were looking for that all-in engage on Bjergsen, and he sat on his ult there. You know, to me, that was really the moment where you're like, well, I think you're maybe playing a little bit too defensive, because if your team is committing ults and summoners for this, and you're just willing to kind of cede that, you know, the fight is pretty much lost, right? Sure. And that's where you have to kind of question. It's like, well, is Kaisa the pick, right? If you want to play this style, if you want to play just hitting frontline, I never like Kaisa as a pick. I think you have to be willing to dive back. Has to be Blue and Neo following up on any sort of an engage from Biofrost.
Yeah, there are, just to sort of put it in terms I like, there are better Kraken Slayer Fenrir champion. Yeah. Right? Like, if you're looking for frontline single hit damage, this is the 2-item build. Like, there is no better build than Kraken PD. Yeah. Like, if you're like, I need to get through a Ornn, a Leona, whatever it is, those are the items. Again, there are better champions for that setup. You know, a Kaisa, sorry, a Xayah, things like that will look a lot better for you. Nice try on the blue buff there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Core got it. Blue's going to find a slow. They're going to find the ulti across the wall on someone cleanses. There's the dive in, but Exhaust is in. Neo stealth, but they might have baited in. Santorin nearly gets that kill. CoreJJ will drop, and I love finally going in for the play. Stealth back out and makes one half, but be careful. They're going to find MOrdekaiser for a second. Ulti might have been well timed. Bwipo still holding it, but Neo has to flash. Almost maybe grabbed into the Death Realm. Not going to happen here. Keep in mind, Viego ult will immune a Mord ulti. He couldn't have gone for that one just yet, but a 1 for 0. Dignitas get a little sign of life.
Yeah, and you always got to be careful on Mord if you're ulting someone near a wall and they can just go over the wall because he's not playing Flash, right? So just if you ult the Viego and he just ults over the wall, your ulti is going to be wasted. Oh, nice play there.
I do like that one. This time Gamsu does not have Flash. Bjergsen does, and grabs 300 gold, shares half of that to Hansama.
Yeah, great pickup, and right before the dragon spawning, so pretty much guaranteeing they're going to get that. River should be spotted. Yeah, he's walking over that ward, so Bwipo going to look for him. Does have the ulti. Even if he can catch up to Biofrost, they're TPing in.
Biofrost not going to find the root just yet, but Bjergsen very much alone. CoreJJ, Santorin on the way. No ulti, summons a turret for a time. Stopwatch coming in is going to be enough now. Biofrost loses W pretty soon. Kaisa lands onto a minion. Naka comes across. There's the pullback. Bwipo's in for a second to Santorin, and that's going to be Team Liquid saying, you think you caught us, but we knocked you down.
That stopwatch by Bjergsen was so clutch there. Able to buy so much time. Gets in, spawns the tower, goes into the stasis, buying time for the team. And TL, forget the dragon. They're going to be able to grab the Baron here. Multiple item completions coming in since we last checked in. 3 items for Hunt. It is the Rylai's for Bwipo and for Bjergsen. So really prioritizing those slows there. Going to be able to grab the Baron. Now 9K ahead, 22 minutes in. Back-to-back days, TL are dominating.
Absolutely crushing the opponents. Sub 30 minutes, every single one so far. This one looking dangerously like that one here as well.
Fourth flash.
Dragon of the game is up. Is there a play to top side? Not just yet. GP pushing the bottom lane. Doesn't go for any more though. Actually, early recall to defend the base. Rebel Baron power play already 1500. Looking for a couple of turrets here to grow that one over 2000 easily. Bot, or mid, I should say. Going to be pretty much a freebie, and here comes the top side look now as well. Bwipo getting plenty of damage, Bjergsen the same. Will there be an engage? Charm not bad, and a core actually has to ult away onto Alistar. Makes them a relatively easy target later on in this fight. They can't get much more done. Inhibitor down to the top side. Mid going to be hard to defend.
Yeah,
Kaisa now showing up. This should be an inhibitor drop as well, and that's going to be map control forever. Well, for 5 minutes.
Well, the game might not go much longer
for the rest
than
of the game.
And Dignitas was not able to even sneak out and grab Dragon, right? So it's pretty rough. There wasn't even a cross-map play for them. We'll see if they want to try to rush over to it now, but I don't think they're going to be able to. And with those Hex Gates on the map, TL just going to rush out, probably be able to grab that dragon, go towards pushing bot, get themselves a second dragon here, eliminate any chance of a soul win condition there for Dignitas, and just continue pushing towards this victory. Looking so good in this one. Back-to-back days, really, really strong smart. They're just going to go straight in.
Santorin has a pillar, just barely cannot grab over with it, nearly locks him in. Yes, it'd be an ulti to safety, he'd always live, but could have forced a relatively long cooldown. Feral Chain finds nothing, as well as Gamsu goes towards Ravenous Hydra for a very low, I think it was Hydra anyway, or Tiamat for a high ability haste version of the build. There's the second Dragon Claim, no problem. No objective bounty, no soul point for Dignitas. The first two ultimately mean nothing.
And I mean, it's still over a minute on the Baron because they were so fast at getting the first two inhibs. They're just going to continue the push, right? The wave is getting pushed in here by Bwipo. They're going to look to triple inhib here, and you have to think Dignitas has got to defend the triple inhib. I feel like if you give up that, the game is just over, even if the Nexus has not yet exploded. So we'll see if they're going to try to look for some sort of an all-in, some sort of an engage, but it is incredibly difficult to see how they're going to make it happen.
And it's not going to be at this turret, though. They're not willing to fight enough for it yet. Ulti comes down, no turret, but maybe it's enough damage. They dive in, and it's going to be River just dropping already 1 for 0, and the pullback onto 3. That's everything you need. Dig their grave in the dirt they go as 3 are dead, and as triple inhibitors are gone as well. We're looking at 25 minutes. Team Liquid are running the LCS by storm. An attempt by Bjergsen will not quite land, but no hopes. Dignitas going to be 0-2. Team Liquid top the table 2-0. The Nexus falls, and Team Liquid came to Summer Split to play.
What a start to summer for TL. Crushing their opponents in their opening 2 matchups. Really, really strong stuff. Not a perfect game today, but pretty close, to be honest. 12-2. They were crushing Dig. Santorin, really good pressure towards topside, focused on getting Bwipo ahead. CoreJJ getting up there as well. Once they put Bwipo into the lead, Bjergsen and Hansama were just kind of naturally winning in their matchups. They were ahead. They were feeling like they were already set up for success. And from there, it felt like full control for TL, able to move around the map, find the fights that they wanted. Dignitas had one real attempt, over by that Dragon Pit where they looked for the pick on Bjergsen. They couldn't get